Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for hanging with me on this Wednesday. And if you've taken some time out of your busy schedules to support my channel by subscribing, hitting that like button, I really do appreciate you for that. And if you've left me a comment, I will get back to you. All right, so I do a lot of videos talking about jigs, and I think this time of year, jig fishing is very important. Bass love a jig in the fall, but the downside of fall fishing is the fishing pressure and being around the bait. Sometimes those two will both be working against you at the same time. You may have bait, but it be in areas where you have a ton of fishing pressure. Well, if the bait isn't necessarily always off the beating path in those places where no one fishes, you can do whatever you want. But some days the bait is in community holes and you have no option but to go fish them. So I live on a lake where we get a ton of fishing pressure. I'm constantly fishing places that are boats in and out every 30 minutes, it seems like, and I have to downsize. Now, the downside of these small, compact tungsten jigs is they come with itty-bitty hooks. I mean, that's like a 2/0 medium gauge hook. I want to put this bait in heavy cover, specifically wood. I'm going to lose a lot of bass. So that's why I go to this fluorocarbon braid thing, and I have not been this guy. I haven't even had 30-pound braid in my boat ever. This is the first year I've been carrying 30-pound braid. I usually have 65 and 50 when I'm flipping heavy grass, I'm flipping a heavy weight, and then I go down to 10 and 15 for my spinning rods. But now I'm seeing the benefit of a fluorocarbon to braid because we have a really good knot. That's the FG knot. And this is one of those knots where it's small enough that it can come through your guides. That was a problem I always had with double uni knots. So even if you only have like 6 feet of fluorocarbon leader, when you land a fish by the side of the boat, you still have to reel that knot through your guides. So very important, that FG knot. And it's not just flipping it through your guides every time, because I don't have that long of a leader. I just keep my braid to where it's this far from the end of the rod when I make my pitch. It's more so about when I'm landing the fish. But I'm gonna break down why the fluorocarbon to braid leader is so important. And again, guys, I'm not this person. I would have never done this in a million years unless I didn't think this was 100% necessary, and I really think it is. So when you're around wood, there's a couple different options you can go with. Braid. Braid is great. You have a lot of control, no stretch. You've only got to move the line this much to move that hook that much. The downside of braid and wood, which is a tremendous downside, is that wood will catch your braid. Your braid will dig into those dock posts, those limbs, and it will get stuck and your fish will come off like 100% of the time. So braid, if you don't yank them out of there on the initial hook set and keep them coming, and that line gets caught in the wood, it not only will get stuck, but it will dig deep into the wood and you'll lose fish. So fluorocarbon has always been my option with wood. The downside of that is if you don't have really heavy fluorocarbon, when you snap your hook set and that line is over the wood, you're gonna break that line. Well, when I go down to these itty bitty finesse jigs, you can't really put this jig on 25-pound test anymore. You gotta fish it around 17, 15-pound line, maybe even lighter, go down to 12. That's not gonna work when you're pulling 5-6 pounders out of heavy wood. So to combat that whole issue, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the little bit of stretch, to no stretch with that braid. So again, you have to move your line this much to set the hook that far into the fish's mouth. And then you're still getting the stretch from the fluorocarbon to where you're not gonna, and the fact that it's not gonna dig into the wood. And then it's okay, I think, to have a little bit of stretch when you are, again, talking about these medium wire gauge hooks, these little 2/0 hooks that you can easily pull out of the fish's mouth. So that is my whole setup. This has become a big deal for me. And you're seeing a lot of guys, any shallow technique, if you're fishing something on the bottom, to go the braid to the fluorocarbon, and I just get that. The whole key to this, though, is that FG knot, where before we had a double uni knot that wasn't super strong. If you had to pull on it hard enough, it would typically break before the line would break. and then it was too thick to go through your guides. So now we have one that can go through our guides. It's not going to cause problems. It's not going to mess up that knot, because technically this is like a splice where that braided line is totally covering the fluorocarbon. But that's the deal. Wood, light, small baits, there's not a better way to fish them than the braid to fluorocarbon. And then here's the last kicker, is instead of using that 7/6 heavy action rod that we've had to use with the 25 fluorocarbon and all that, you can now, with braid, go down to a medium heavy. So like a 7'3" medium heavy rod. And then again, on that fluorocarbon to braid leader, go with 30-pound braid, which is like the equivalent of 12-pound test fluorocarbon. So a diameter of braid that is 12-pound tied to the diameter of 17-pound, and that's going to come together really good. And then you're getting, you know, all the benefits that you would with braid, all the benefits that you would with fluorocarbon. You're going to land more fish, and this is just going to make this type of fishing, which to me can be kind of annoying, because it is, you know, it is a really small bait that you're putting in areas where really big fish live. So you're causing some problems for yourself. But with this combo, you really should have very little to no problems. Land more fish, get more fish out of that heavy cover. So try that, guys. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.